Thank you. I'm going to talk to you today about passion. Not the steamy, sexy, lusty kind, sorry, but passion nonetheless. Why? Very simply because passion enhances connectivity. About 13 years ago, I was invited to join a discussion group of women, all of us considering the issue of retirement. And we weren't quite sure how to go about this, but we knew that because it's a major life transition, it was something to really pay attention to. So we met, we talked in depth, we recorded all of our sessions. And after all that, we came to the conclusion that the most important thing is to do this process, or any major life transition, consciously, by talking about it with like-minded people, by journaling, all of those things, so that the transition is a successful one. So this group evolved into Project Renewment, Career Women Transitioning from Work to Retirement. And out of that came some really fascinating conclusions. And the most significant one for most of us, especially me, was the issue of passion. Because when you're really passionate about your work, as all of us were, what happens when you retire? The passion goes away. Can you find passion in retirement? And how do you do that? We were really scared because we felt that there would potentially be a major void in our lives, and a void that could impact our happiness, our peace of mind, our overall sense of joy. So what happened to me was I did find my passion. I found it in my living room, and through a group called Salon Forum that I had started 20 years ago. I knew lots and lots of women from different areas of my life. And I always said, and this kept going on and on in my head, wouldn't it be great if I could bring all these women together and have all of them meet? So one day I took the plunge and I did that. And we met. I'd do dinner, a guest speaker, Q&A. And on February 20th, 2008, that speaker was former LA County District Attorney Gil Garcetti, who spoke about the dire need for safe water in West Africa and the plight of women and girls who walk miles and miles every day. And by the way, that's not fog. That's a very fine dust storm of sand that burns your eyes, burns your skin, and they walk miles in this. And this is the water that they often find, water that's contaminated, causing death and disease. So, in that Q&A that followed Gil's talk, two things emerged. One, that in a room full of about 50 well-educated, pretty conscious, savvy, socially conscious, in particular women, none of us had heard of this. And then Gil's passion that he felt about this issue hit home with us. And we said, these women are our sisters. We really felt that. We connected with them. Most of us were mothers, and these were mothers, and all they really wanted was for their children to be healthy and get an education and stop the downward spiral of poverty. So the next morning, I sent out an email to everybody who was there, and I said, should Salon Forum take up this cause? And fortunately, I guess because I was really excited myself, they said yes. And yes, I want to help you. So I instantly had a fabulous task force of 14 women, which was really, really important because I knew nothing about the nonprofit world. And we were, in essence, starting a nonprofit. So what did that mean? I mean, even though I had been a marketing consultant for Fortune 500 companies, so I was able to do a lot of the basic things in getting this organization going. But the one thing that I had always avoided in my life was managing people. The thought of it just made me cringe. But you know, life has a very interesting way of making you learn those things that you don't want to learn, right? Okay, so I had to learn how to manage people, and boy, I'm still working on that one. The other thing was working to raise money. I had not a clue about that. But what I've realized is that having passion about a cause makes it easier to attract volunteers and definitely makes it easier to raise money. Why? Because you're communicating from your heart, and people just get it. And if they don't, there are lots of other people out there that you can still talk to. So I've learned. So this funny man, Alan Arkin, in this month's Vanity Fair, was given the Proust questionnaire, and they asked him, "What's your motto?" "Everything changes," he answered. So what does that mean? When everything changes in our lives, that there's really nothing we can count on. So what does it mean when everything changes? We have to be flexible. One of my mantras in my life has always been to thrive in this world, not just survive, but to really thrive, we must be flexible. Not always easy to do. What holds us back very often? Simply fear of the unknown. We feel very, very comfortable and cozy with all those things that are familiar, right? But to face something like a big black hole there, we don't want to know about it. So, another mantra, and this years ago I did a lot of those personal growth trainings. One of the things that came out of it was feel the fear and do it anyway. How many of you have heard that before? Okay, you probably did the same trainings. So in one of those trainings, we had to do a kind of an outward bound ropes course. Has anybody ever done that? Okay, well, that's pretty scary. So there I found myself on the top of a cliff, having to rappel down. My cliff wasn't exactly as steep as that, but it looked pretty scary. It's about 100 feet up. And I kind of looked down and I said, how did I get in this place? Then I looked at my friend who was belaying the line, and she said, right into my eyes, Barbara, just take one step. And so I did. And suddenly, the unknown became the known. And guess what? It was fun. I loved it. I wanted to do it again. I have 3 granddaughters under the age of 2. One of them, a 14-month-old, is just learning how to walk. So there I'd be sitting on the floor with her. She's about 4 feet away, and I'd be there like, oh, come, come. And I could see the wheels turning. I could feel her fear until something switched, and there she came. And that is feel the fear and do it anyway. So, I mean, not only can something, when it becomes known, be fun, it could be beautiful, it could be incredibly life-enhancing and enriching. So I live in Los Angeles, and years ago, and up until quite recently, it seemed that everyone wanted to be what? A film producer. And there are a lot of people who still want to be film producers. It is, after all, Hollywood. But what's happened within the last 5 years or so, and I'm sure all of you have noticed this, is that people, and particularly young people, we have a lot of young people, I'm talking about 12 to 30-year-olds, who volunteer with us. Extraordinary young people. So what are a lot of people aspiring to? Working in the nonprofit world, or starting their own nonprofit. So I talk to a lot of groups, and I tell young people today, if you're attracted to the nonprofit world, you've got to look at something beyond your passion. You have to take left brain. Look at your left brain. Get in touch with what's in your left brain, meaning the logical, analytical side of you, to say, is this organization, if you're thinking of joining a nonprofit, Does the business model work? Looking at them from a financial perspective, from a marketing perspective, to really know that this is the right organization for you. So, Wellspring Hope is very blessed to have lots and lots of volunteers. The lifeblood of any small nonprofit like us, it's our volunteers. They're the ones who have this intense passion to make a difference in the world. And as I said, many of them are extraordinary young people. I have friends who say, oh, this young generation, they don't read, they're not particularly polite, what is this world coming to? And I say, well, you've got to talk to the kids I've met. They're extraordinary. And I'd like to give you two examples. Kevin Kilroy, female, heard from her father about what Gil Garcetti was doing about the plight of women and girls in West Africa. And she read his book, put it down, and she said, Dad, we've got to do something. 14 years old. With the help of her older brother, she created a 5-minute presentation. At 5 masses in her church, raised over $10,000. And that was just the beginning. She was just getting started. The church continued to do more stuff because she really encouraged them. Her school took up fundraising activities as well. And then she hit on all her father's friends who were in the financial industry. So there were more than a few wells that came out of that. Another young woman named Kate McEvely at the Chadwick School down in Palos Verdes, California. Kate heard Gil Garcetti speak when she was in 7th grade. But she couldn't really do anything about it at her school, wanting to get involved, wanting to do something, raise money in her school. Couldn't do it because you had to be in 9th grade to start a club. So she waited 2 years. And then she started getting everybody excited. So the high schoolers talked to the 6th graders. And then we have a video clip of these 6th graders presenting to these kindergartners, and they get it. It's extraordinary. So I'm very optimistic about the future and what all of you, as young people today in universities, colleges across the country, are doing. So passion can be contagious. I caught it from Gil Garcetti. I know that a fair number of volunteers have caught it from me, maybe even a few of you. So thank you, and I wish you well.